Good morning. I'm Commissioner Ed Rothstein. Cannot believe it is August 3rd, and we're here for open session. And yeah, that's it for today. Before we start, as always, let's take a moment for the pledge and a moment of silence, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. There's been a lot of activity going on in the county, a lot of very positive energy happening this week. So let's see what's going on, what's on your minds. Commissioner Bigliotti, go ahead.
Thank you, Commissioner Rothstein. Good morning, everybody. So I will do my best to be as brief as possible with everything that we've done over the last couple of days. So Monday morning, after an awesome breakfast at the Burns Center with the Carroll County Chamber of Commerce, a group including Commissioner Kyler and myself, we're honored to be given a tour of the entire 4-H fair by two ambassadors, Lucas and Gavin Lucas, who is also Mr. Carroll County. They are upstanding young men who represent the best of our county and the best of everything that the 4-H means. I think that the 4-H fair is a phenomenal opportunity for our community to come together. It's a way of life, or it celebrates a way of life that involves God, family, and work. And this kind of county-wide farming community to the present day remains a bedrock of who we are. The one that's dependent upon young people taking over as the older generations move on. And so I think it's incredibly important that we as commissioners and we as members of this county get out to support the young people who are rising up to be the next generation that will take the helm of things here. And so between our long-standing partnership with the farming community, the agricultural preservation program that we're a part of, and the central role that agriculture has played in our founding and through the present day, our county, our farmland is an irreplaceable part of our heartland. So I also know that a lot of people are supportive of agriculture and the 4-H fair, and I wanted to give a quick shout out and thank you to Wilson Bounds, who's a longtime insurance agent and accountant who works up in District 1. He's created a nonprofit called Growing People Incorporated, which fundraises for good causes. And at the present, for example, he's increasing the size of the prizes that are being given out of the 4-H fair. I will let Commissioner Kyler speak more at length about our visit to Simmons Ice Cream for their 100th anniversary, but I will thank him for setting that up and for getting us all there, and thank you to him and his wife, Rhonda, for buying us ice cream. It was absolutely delicious, and those people, that is a family-owned business, they are wonderful human beings, absolutely wonderful human beings. And I'll let Chris catch up there.
They look like twins.
Oh. They do. Everybody knows the confused grandma meme, right? So, so Tuesday evening with National Night Out, I was really excited to be able to visit all three municipalities that are in District 1. New Windsor hosted their National Night Out at their awesome fire company grounds. Union Bridge hosted theirs at their beautiful square. Tawnytown hosted National Night Out at the phenomenal Memorial Park. I got to meet so many wonderful people. I got to talk to so many wonderful people. And, it's important to note that every single one of the events that I attended was packed, absolutely packed. And I think it's testament to how much our citizens value and support the men and women who protect us on a daily basis. And I also want to thank all of the municipal leaders, our sheriff, corrections, county law enforcement, local police, elected officials, and partner agencies such as the state's attorney and citizen services for what they did on Tuesday evening. It really was another one of those community intensive and involving efforts. And again, it is a testament of the things that we value in this county. Very last thing I'll mention is I spent a couple of hours last night at the 4-H fair again, and I'll let my fellows go into more discussion about the cake auction. I was certainly priced out of that. It's, again, this is one of those things where young people do something that is incredibly creative and speaks to their hard work and their dedication, and it is just another one of the many ways that our community, our citizens, come out to support one another. You know, we really do rely on the future generations, and I know we will hear from another up and coming now member of our citizenship or citizenry. So I just cannot commend the citizens of our county enough for coming out to support one another over the last couple of days. And this is certainly one of those weeks that I will bear with me in memory for the rest of my life. And Commissioner, that's all for me this morning.
Okay. Commissioner Kyler, you want to follow that?
Yes, I'll
Okay.
try. I'll try. I will add, I love Carroll County, and I love all the activities going on in both Simmons, the fair. You see so many real people and hard workers, and it's just awesome. And like I say, I love it. In no particular order, yeah, we all went to Simmons, and that was great. And I think everyone we met there was related to a Simmons. I mean, it's just amazing. And they've got a great place if you want to stop by. And, you know, it used to be the store that had the wood stove there, and you'd sit around it and talk. There's no wood stove, but you can still sit around and talk.
Okay, there.
Commissioner Rothstein was a little disappointed because his choices were vanilla and chocolate. If you get back there this week, there will be, what did they say, blueberry and peach?
Peach.
Beach.
Yeah, so you will have more options. But yeah, what a great group, and yeah, we talked and solved all the problems of Carroll County.
Oh, I should point out about this photograph. I've had someone point out to me that the bench looks like it's a pit in the floor. It is not a pit, it's a bench.
Yeah, that's the end of the bench. It does look like, yeah, we're sitting around a pit in the floor. You're right. That's it. It's interesting.
That's where they throw the bad ice cream or something.
No, the people. Well,
Yeah,
And
people.
we've all been to the fair, I think, and if not, hopefully we will. Monday was a great breakfast, a great tour, and I ended up getting sidetracked on the tour, talking to different people, and like I say, it's just so many great people. And last night was the cake auction, and they were also judging hogs. There was also a horse pull. There were also long lines for food. It was so much going on last night. It's so great. And I don't know if you can hold up a sec. I did end up buying 2 cakes. I can't afford it either, but you know, what the hell. Back to that picture.
With the ribbon. There you go.
The girl in the blue, that's my bidder. Rhonda couldn't be there last night, so she did the bidding for me. The girl on the left, Dairy Farm Family, her cake was bought for $51,000.
the little girl in the yellow.
She said before she went out, I just hope I get $1,000 and I'm not embarrassed. Well, she wasn't embarrassed. Now, a whole bunch of people around her, including us, said, well, does this mean you're buying dinner? And she said no, and she headed down to work on her dairy heifer and her hog. But that's how these kids are. That's awesome. And I know Commissioner Gordon, he was in a group that bought one earlier that was that many digits too. It's just amazing what goes on out there. National Night Out, I'll skip back to it, but I went to Manchester and Hampstead, and it's amazing, and that's any area, I guess. There's so many people that go to those events for the first time, and they're shocked by how crowded it is. And the town or the police or the fire department, everything's free that night. You get hot dogs, sodas, ice cream, and local businesses. Huffman's was down in Hampstead doing free ice cream, and our church was there, and I think think you have to fish or do something, but everybody wins a prize. It's just a great night, and then there's great demonstrations, and it's just great to see all the people, talk to all the different firemen, talk to all the different law enforcement, and we're blessed in Carroll County. I haven't said it for a couple of weeks, so I'll say again, I love Carroll County, but there's not too many places you go where you will see at Manchester first, a state policeman, county sheriff's people, the local law enforcement, and the firemen, and they're all meshing together. They're all working hard to make sure it's a good night. And then I went to Hampstead and saw the same thing there. It's just people here tend to work together, and it's awesome. Tomorrow night is the livestock sale at the fair. There'll be some ridiculous prices on a few there too, and a lot of local companies. Some not so local companies may buy some of the champions, but it's just a great night, and I could just go there and look around the room at the different farm families, small business families, residents of Carroll County sitting there who probably put $500,000 out in fertilizer and seed, hoping it wouldn't be as dry as it's been lately, but they're still going to be there. And because some senior, this is her last year in fair and she's going away to college, they're going to bid 5 times what her steer's worth. And it's just amazing how selfless those people are. If you are a buyer, hit it there at 4:30. There's a free barbecue dinner, and register and get buying. And it's a great opportunity. Oh, and one of the people here, her niece, I believe, she's going to kill me because I don't know the details. She won last night while we were up at the cake sale. She was down there winning. And like I say, it's just awesome families, and they work so hard. Now, I talked to a friend who had been in a bad car accident a while back, who's doing fine, but his little brothers were there. And these kids are learning about life. It's a very hard process on animals making weight. It has to be consistent growth and etc. And there's a lot of kids there, their animals didn't make weight, so they can't win a prize, they can't sell it at the livestock sale, but they still worked their butt off for a year. One of his little brothers, his hog died about a month ago, and that happens too. So it's not all cheers and positives, but it's life lessons that these kids need to learn. And I've talked enough. There's more I could talk about. One thing I do want to say, I've gotten a lot of emails, texts, phone calls, and messages in the last probably week. It seems more than in the past. If I haven't gotten back to you, I will. And just give me a little chance to read them. And in some cases, I'll try to get an answer before I get back to you. Some cases, I just say, thanks for the question. I'll figure it out eventually. Or some of our great staff in this building will figure it out for me. So have some patience. And I do appreciate that so many people are concerned about things. And it's not whining, it's not complaining, it's legitimate concern. I mean, I've got one issue going on right now. A farm family has a certain utility company, but at the end of their driveway there's a different utility company, and they now need 3-phase service, and like neither one want to give them to them because they're right on the line, and that'll get worked out. But you hear things like that, and people get frustrated because it's hard to understand how you can get an answer on stuff. So, and don't just bug me. There's 4 other guys up here that love to be bugged too. So reach out. Thank you.
Absolutely. Commissioner Gordon.
Thank you. Just to reiterate what my colleagues had said, obviously we were at Simmons Ice Cream this week, which I thought was great. It's always nice to celebrate the 100th anniversary of a local family business, but also it's kind of a little bit of a step back in time, which I think is fantastic. I happen to like old country stores, so I think it's fun to see that anytime you can.
I gotta, like you say, a step back in time. For the record, 4 houses up the street from them, I do have their outhouse in my backyard. So there's
All
things you can.
repurposing.
It's all yours.
Also this week, as mentioned, we had National Night Out. Westminster has 8 locations. Got around to a variety of them. It was great to see, law enforcement, fire, EMS, countless nonprofits, volunteers. It was just a great time by all, and it was just nice to see everybody come together, which we traditionally do in this county, but it's always nice to see that in person. And it was nice. There was a couple parents there that had some questions with some nonprofits, looking for some things for their children to get involved with. So, always great to see those kind of positive interactions, and that was definitely a fun evening, to say the least. I do want to mention one thing, jumping back a few days, though. Sincere, heartfelt thank you to everyone involved. I guess that was the end of last week with the gas leak we had. Was really appreciated. I know it was tough on the public. It was tough on all of us trying to drive around with 140 blocked off for quite some time. But wanted to thank everyone involved in that. And then also we had a storm this past week. Westminster was like everyone else in this county. We were all affected. Part of the east end of Main Street in Westminster was without power for some time. Our local fire, EMS, and law enforcement were involved in that, and just want to say thank you to everybody involved with that, because these things just kind of come up, and it's great to have people involved that are willing to look out and help the community. So just want to give a heartfelt thank you regarding that. Also, as Commissioner Kyler mentioned, we did have the cake auction last night. The grand champion, which was Josie Lane's cake, was a decorated sea turtle on a beach decorated cake. That brought $15,500. That was the Carroll County Farm and Business Syndicate, run by Trevor Huff of Local Homestead Products. I'm also a part of that. That's a great opportunity. So, Joe, if you want to get involved next year, you don't have to put a lot in. It is expensive out there, but you can always just, put a little in for the good of the community. That's kind of what I do every year. I think it's just fun to be involved.
I'll give that some consideration.
I did try to buy 1 or 2 last night individually, and just wasn't happening. Kept getting outbid, but
Maybe
it was
the
fun.
5 of us need to team up.
Keep talking.
And then I think the shock of the evening, which is always great when you've got auction results, was the Reserve Grand Champion, which was a chocolate cake with peanut butter icing by Addison Fritz, which brought the $51,000. That was Kenny Staley of Staley's Body Shop. That's the good old Carroll County Farm and Business supporters. So typically there's about 3 groups, maybe 4, and there's some other smaller ones that collaborate together and kind of battle it out for good cause. And Carroll County Times was there last night, and they were asking what were my thoughts, and I said the reality is everybody's a winner, because all of this goes back in the community. So I think it's an incredible testament to the community, whether it's the cake auction, the livestock auction. It's just great to see a community come together and support our kids and also the community as a whole. Also wanted to mention briefly, we have to give a shout out, at least I do, I think we all do. Our local friends at the Community Media Center won a national award. They received the 2023 Hometown Media Award from the Alliance of Community Media Foundation. So that was for a variety of their different outstanding processes. They did, obviously the teacher awards and a number of other things. So I thought it was great to see that in our community. Just wanted to mention that as well. And I will close by saying tonight, as we've all had a busy week, I will be at the Carroll Biz Challenge at the downtown Westminster. So thank you.
That's right. Absolutely. Commissioner Garing.
Good morning, Carroll County. Commissioner Gordon, thanks for mentioning that storm over the weekend. I want to thank again the Department of Public Works for all their work down in the southern end of the county. I can't remember that much tree and storm damage really almost since Isabel. It just seemed like there were a lot of roads closed, and they were on top of the situation, so I appreciate it.
Your area was particularly hard hit.
It really was, and it's, you can tell when you drive through there, there's just a lot of debris on the side of the road still, but it's on the side of the road, which is important. Again, I've mentioned a few times, this week is the Mount Airy Volunteer Fire Company Carnival. We've been blessed with some really good weather. And if you come by Friday night, I'll be working. I think I haven't been told where to go yet, but if you find me and you want to talk to me, you can talk to me, but I gotta work and I gotta sell stuff. So if you want to talk to me, you at least gotta buy something first. And on August 12th, I want to remind everybody that the Mount Airy Mile is taking place on August 12th, and you can still sign up for that. So you've heard me talk several times and prior to Carol about this issue of state overreach, state mandates and positions on some of the counties in Maryland, particularly the rural ones. And it manifests itself in different forms. Sometimes it's legislation. Sometimes it's just regulations. Things like cannabis is a great example. I understand the legalization of cannabis took place, but now we're being told how we have to sell it. And Maryland Blueprint's another great example. We've talked a lot about that here, where we're being told how to spend our money and how to operate a perfectly good school system and what to do if we don't accommodate those edicts from the state. We don't really know yet. We do know that a couple years ago we were told we were good and it wasn't going to cost us a dime. Now we're told it will cost us millions. And on that topic, I want to again thank some of the local news outlets and concerned parents for Carroll County for highlighting this issue with the current superintendent, who I personally hope his contract is not renewed because he has
State superintendent.
state superintendent at the state level. Thank you for that correction, because he's reigned over some declining scores, and we'll see where that goes. But the reason I bring this up, and again, some other mandates and regulations, things like building, and if you're trying to build in the county, you see all the hoops and hurdles you have to jump through. The reason I wanted to bring this up is because last April, I'm not sure if people are aware of it, but the General Assembly did pass a law which is going to allow the Maryland State Attorney, it's going to be a Maryland Attorney General, who is an elected official, by the way, elected political official, to prosecute all incidents involving police that resolve in an injury or death. The previous process was that the state would review things and then it would be up to the county prosecutors to decide how to go forward. And that was changed in April, even though 23 of 24 county prosecutors opposed it. That still went through. And the reason I'm bringing it up is because this week the Maryland State Attorney has asked for the funds to hire people to do just that. It's my opinion that, if you can't defund the police or you can't undercut the police in a lot of ways, one effective way to do that might be to completely take local control out of those types of issues. And that's a real shame. And that bill did receive a lot of opposition, particularly from our own delegation. I'm proud of them for that. But the reason I'm bringing this up is because you see the incremental sort of slow pace of how things are progressing at the state level down towards the county level. I happen to think we're a sovereign county in a lot of respects. I mean, we run our own county, but you've seen me mention this quite a few times. I just gave a few good examples. And the reason I bring it up is because it is something that people have to start paying attention to in the county. When you're looking at some of the decisions we may or may not be forced to make in the county, you need to remind yourself and you need to be knowledgeable of the fact that they may not be our decisions, they may not be our ideas, it's things we're having to deal with. So as we move forward, I think this is going to become a bigger issue for this particular board, and in particular a lot of the rural counties that are going to have to suffer the consequences of some of these things. And this issue with the Attorney General of the state of Maryland being able to have full authority over how those types of issues are prosecuted or not prosecuted at the county level is frightening. And when the bill passed in April, you could see the look on people's faces, particularly a lot of the rural delegations, their concern over that. So pay attention to this not so slow pace of overreach, in my opinion, from the state level and these types of mandates, and realize that they do affect you. They are going to affect our county, and we're going to do our best to navigate it. But you need to understand what these issues are, and you need to make sure that the folks you're electing and the folks you're talking to are willing to fight for your county, because that is exactly what it might take, either as legislative or executive, legal, You've got to have people that are willing to stand up to some of these things because they're not good for our county. I think we have a pretty darn good county. We got a great school system. We got a great sheriff's department. I mean, what about our county? I mean, it's not perfect, but it's pretty darn good, and the numbers don't lie. So be aware of that moving forward, and that what happens in Annapolis really does affect what happens here, and that's never been more true now. So that's all for me. Thank you.
Okay. No, I appreciate it, and 100% agree with what you're saying. When that law passed, 23 out of 24 jurisdictions went down there to say this is not the right way of doing it. It passed. And, you know, there's sometimes we look at things one side of the aisle or another, as opposed to looking at things, what should the counties and jurisdictions be able to do on their own? And so I 100% agree with you. It does lead into a comment, and you've heard me talk about MACO, Maryland Association of Counties. For us, Carroll County, to step up and be a not just a member of MACO, which we are, which is the 24 jurisdictions, or a participant, but be a leader in MACO. And our staff is fully engaged and represented in MACO. We have the conference coming up in just a couple weeks where we'll meet with the administration and our colleagues, you know, across the different jurisdictions, because it's amazing the strength you get when you have not just one county talking, but, you know, a dozen counties talking, or 24 counties, and that's really what MACO is all about. So it's not just a visit to the beach and a playground. It's an opportunity to engage one-on-one with the administration, with transportation and commerce and labor and housing, and with the governor, internal team, and with the colleagues from the different jurisdictions, because you're right. I think the best way for Carroll County to run is for Carroll County to tell our own story and govern ourselves as best we can. So, but MACO is a very important role in that. We talked about the 4-H fair and National Night Out. Chris, do you have that picture from National Night Out by chance? Not that one. Okay, so this one, there's Chief Robinson and Eddie Ruck, but the one on, on the right, this woman was in a car accident on Highway 91 and Deer Park, and just got crushed in the car accident years ago, and she was flown to shock trauma. So, she told the story to the pilots there. The gentleman, on my right is a retired, pilot, Army pilot, and but told the story to myself and the two, and it's just like, I'm telling you, it does. It makes tears come down your cheeks, to know that we have resources to save somebody's life with the shock trauma, the flight, the life-saving flight, and then the resource of shock trauma itself. Excuse me, was just amazing. So, just a great opportunity. You never know who you're going to meet at any given time, but like my colleague said, the men and women in red and blue that were highlighted, and the community that was highlighted, at National Night Out was just phenomenal. Okay, you could take that off, please. One thing that wasn't mentioned is Saturday, Babylon Vault is hosting a Wreaths Across America traveling display, and they're also going to be conducting a pinning ceremony for welcoming home Vietnam veterans. And I think that starts at 12 or noon.
Is it 10?
10?
I think it's 10.
10. Okay, 10. It starts at 10.
I think the first pinning is at 12, I think, right?
Okay, okay. Yeah, so just an opportunity to participate, opportunity to listen to some of the stories that will be told, and see the appreciation of our veterans as they're appropriately welcomed home. So just if you're in that area, take advantage of it and attend. The last thing, which I don't believe is a controversial topic, I believe it's something that we should highlight, is the U.S. women's soccer is moving on to the round of 16. They did the worst they've done in years as far as pool play. They've only had 1 win and 2 draws, but it got them into second place underneath the Dutch, and I believe they're playing Sweden in the round of 16, I think. So they're
Right.
Yeah, and that's gonna be a tough game, but if they get their act together, they'll pull it, and I hope we're all hoping for their success as they're wearing red, white, and blue. And any time someone wears red, white, and blue, I wish for their best success, especially the wrestling. But that's a different story. And I'm not even sure when that's scheduled, but I do know they are moving on. Let's see, we talked about that. We talked about 4-H. 4-H is just amazing. I mean, what an incredible opportunity just to be there and participate. Okay, let's move on to Miss Rachel Spencer, Miss Marilyn Teen. Why don't you both move up to the table? And
I've got a brief introductory paragraph if you'd like me to.
yeah, you guys have a seat. Before we get to hear the wisdom of Miss Marilyn Teen, let's see what the wisdom of Commissioner Vigliotti has to say.
Well, this one I didn't write, so I can't take credit for this one.
Okay.
So we have with us this morning our new Miss Maryland teen who had competed as Miss Carroll County's teen, Miss Rachel Spencer. We first met her at the holiday lighting ceremony here at the county office building in December. So Rachel, Miss Carroll County's Outstanding Teen 2023, was crowned Miss Maryland's Teen on June 23, 2023 at the Maryland Theater. She will compete for the title of Miss America's Teen in January 2024. The details of the Miss Maryland competition are as follows. Rachel won the Top Teen Talent and Interview Awards. She tied with Miss Mount Airy's Teen for the Preliminary Evening Gown Award. And Rachel's Community Service Initiative, and I'll let her talk about this, is Sprinkles of Love Passion 2 Project. One day, Rachel aspires to become a lawyer and the future President of the United States of America. And Miss Spencer, I will turn it over to you.
Thank you so much. It's so lovely to be back here, and I just want to first thank you for being so welcoming to me throughout my year as Miss Carroll County's teen. I've done so many things and had an opportunity to meet a lot of people and feel welcomed and appreciated and loved. I wanted to be able to share some of my favorite moments throughout the year, such as attending your commissioner's breakfast, where I was able to watch an actual servant of our community interact with your constituents. It was such an amazing experience. I also loved my many Sunshine Box deliveries. This is a Sunshine Box, which I'll talk about a little bit later. And through interacting with our first responders in the Carroll community and hearing how passionate they are about serving others really inspired me. So I can't wait to continue to give back to the Carroll County community as Miss Maryland's teen. So one of my things that Sprinkles of Love does is we have an initiative called Passion 2 Project. I like to help teens and youth identify, explore, and plan ways they can be successful in finding their service passions. I've known from a young age why it's important to serve, because you can earn leadership skills, gain compassion, and really become a strong and more empowered person. That is my goal as Miss Maryland's teen, to give back to our communities. And one of the ways that I really participated in my own Passion to Project movement was through the pandemic. I realized that my mom, who's a doctor, and many other first responders and healthcare workers are diligently working to make sure that we stayed safe. And so to contribute in my own way, I wanted to deliver a little bit of positivity and happiness. So a sunshine box that has a lot of yummy, tempting, non-perishable yellow treats is something to enjoy, to really say thank you. You all, and just hearing you and how passionate you are is so inspiring to me as a future politician, to see that there are people that have integrity, who are really dedicated to their work and serving others. So I hope you all enjoy, and while you're working so incredibly hard over your term, you get to have some treats. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Any comments?
I think you certainly work harder than the rest of us do.
Oh, please. I hope one day, definitely.
It has been such a pleasure getting to know you, getting to see the milestones that you've achieved, and I do look forward to voting for you one day. I'm looking forward to that a lot. And,
Likewise.
Well, thank you very much.
Any other thoughts, comments?
Congratulations.
Thank you.
It's tough. That's some tough competition. So congratulations.
Thank you so much. I
Yes,
appreciate it.
absolutely. Congratulations.
Seeing you over this last year, whether it was Wreaths Across America, right?
Yes.
Up in, where was I? Where were we?
I think we're in Hampstead.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
that
so.
sounds right.
And just participating in all the other opportunities, and being out there, just means so much, and it means so much to the community. Seeing your shining face and knowing that you're there, definitely wish you the best of luck in the in the pageantry and the competition, but also in all of your future endeavors.
Thank you.
Because that's what it's really all about. So thank you, and thank you for being here this morning.
Thank you and congratulations.
Yeah.
And like they said, it's been fun to watch you as you go through this, and you've been very successful, but the more time we spend around you, you're also very, very real, and that's a good combination.
That means a lot.
That's huge. I agree. So
Absolutely.
okay, why don't we get a?
Let me read the certificate that we have for her this
Oh,
morning. Then
please.
Oh my gosh,
Okay.
thank you.
So in recognition of serving as Miss Carroll County's teen and achieving the title of Miss Maryland's teen on June 23, 2023, we congratulate you on this accomplishment, including your added success as winner of the Top Teen Talent and Interview Award. For your outstanding representation of Carroll County teens and your passion for the community, the Carroll County Board of Commissioners gives you our best wishes as you represent Carroll County and Maryland and compete for the title of Miss America's Teen in January 2024. Signed, the entire Board of Carroll County Commissioners.
Thank you
Fantastic.
so much. I really appreciate it.
Okay, Matt, from the magic door behind us, will come out and take a picture.
I'm really, really honored. It means the world to me.
You've all got to spruce ourselves up to be with you now.
Oh, what do you think is best? I love the box. It's it's quite.
You first. Yeah, you first.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you. Soon, in 2 weeks, we'll have 5 new queens.
That's great. 1, 2. She wants one with the box. Yeah, it's heavy. It's heavy. It's heavy. Yes.
And I'm going to sign the cards.
Is that what you want, the picture? Or?
You worked hard. Yes. Thank you.
I'm too. I become accustomed to it.
That's lunch.
I'm gonna put it in.
You're gonna hold it. No, why don't you hold
We want a picture. I think
I'm just taking it back to my office.
he was a little too excited.
Yeah.
Go ahead, man.
Come in just a little bit there. Yep. I want to make sure I got everybody.
Thank you.
It's beautiful. That's so beautiful. Now you can run it. Do you need the? Yeah, that's fine. That's
Thank
good.
you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
I'm calling the times now.
I'll have wine better. Chris, you going to handle that, me trying to steal things incident for me from the Public Relations Office? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, we'll send you that as soon as.
Okay.
Let us know how we can watch
Yes.
in January, because it may or may, I don't know whether it'll be on national television or not. but
Okay.
Sure, yeah.
Yes, please do.
Well, we'll send it to Chris and she can pass it. Sometimes you can stream it live.
Yeah, that'd be great.
So from the very boring recognition of Miss Marilyn Teen, let's go on to Chapter 170, Construction Codes.
Much more exciting.
I'm thrilled. Okay, this is a public hearing. So there is, Tim, where's
Morning,
Tim?
gentlemen.
Good morning.
Morning.
Please.
Do you want to run it, or do you want me
I can.
Why don't you take it on, Roberta?
to? Huh? It's up to you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, okay. So, as you said, this is a public hearing for the Chapter 170 construction codes. Mr. Green, if you wouldn't mind giving a brief overview.
Sure. Before we start, I just want to take a minute to recognize the permits and inspection staff for the work they do each day. They don't get much fanfare or time in front of the board, but the work they do impacts the community in many ways by reducing injuries, saving lives, lowering insurance rates, and increasing property values. I want to thank them for their hard work and commitment to our community. The purpose of today's hearing is to solicit the public for comments regarding proposed changes to the county's Chapter 170 construction codes. The public hearing was duly advertised in the Carroll County Times on Thursday, July 20th and Thursday, July 27th of 2023. In May of 2023, the Maryland Codes Administration adopted new codes, and in doing so, it requires local jurisdictions to adopt with any local amendments within 12 months. The Bureau has reviewed these codes with the county's Code Steering Committee, the Electrical Board, and the Plumbing Board. This collaborative effort between staff, businesses, contractors, architects, and community members has provided a thorough review of Chapter 170 and resulted in what is being presented to you today. We are requesting an effective date of January 1st of 2024, and this will allow us time to educate the contracting community on the changes before implementation. With that, I'll turn it over to Mike Zepp, the Bureau Chief of Permits and Inspections, to discuss some of the specific changes.
Good morning again. My name is Michael Zepp. I am the code official for permits and inspections. I'm responsible for enforcement of Chapter 170 as adopted in Carroll County. I understand you all have a copy of the ordinance in front of you, so I just wanted to, I won't go through the whole 43 pages step by step, but we'll go start with some highlights. If you go to page 2, it talks about the adoption of the specific codes that we are adopting, and I will point out, I don't know if Jason covered this, but every 3 years typical is what we do. The state does, and then we are responsible to adopt those standards with any amendments that we. But the electrical board did jump an extra cycle this time to stay consistent with the local surrounding jurisdictions. So electrical contractors will be working from the same code instead of jumping back and forth between counties. So that is one that did jump. You'll notice that it went from 17 to 23. That was discussed with the electrical board, and that they all agreed to move forward with that. So if you go to page 4, it clarifies the permitting for fences. We currently don't require permitting for fences. There have been some concerns in the past about some tall fences, so we did put some language in there that they must comply with the wind requirements for Carroll County, and we just put some additional information in there. Also on page 4, there is some relief for certain decks to be constructed. If they are less than 200 square feet, they're not more than 24 inches above the ground, they don't serve a pool or a house, then we won't require permits for those. Been trying to move forward with that for a couple years now, and we finally got something in there to give a little relief for a deck sitting out by itself, that we don't feel that if it's low enough to the ground, that we don't feel that that's going to be an issue. So if you go to pages 6 and 7, this was something, this is some fees that we went to the Code Steering Committee on. It was talked about with them. We went to them to increase from certain fees from 100 to 200. They thought that was not enough. They thought we were way behind. There was not enough of a deterrent there. They all agreed that we need to increase it to 500. So we are looking to adopt that.
And these are fees where work's done without a permit.
Yes.
So these are instances where the contractor is working without a permit. Somebody typically will call us and notify us. We'll go out and do a formalized investigation. And in some cases, there's extensive renovation going on by licensed contractors that they know a permit's required.
What triggers this? Let's say a year ago I did a bunch of work without a permit, but now this year or right after this is implemented, I get the permit application. Does the application date trigger this, or the violation you already had?
Well, if they didn't have a permit, then it's the date of the application, so they would have to comply with today's standard.
Yep.
And this, like Jason said, this is for stop work orders, for missed inspections, because quite frankly, the $100 it doesn't seem to be very effective. So we always have room to back off of any of these. As a code official, I can pull back on anything that it's within reason, if it seems to be justifiable. But this would be the code, if especially for repeat offenders.
So if something happened,
we would do this over and over, that we would be able to stick to this.
So if something was built 5 years ago, and then somebody said, "Oh, by the way, you can go to that residence and charge them $500."
We could, yes. Technically, yes, we could. As the code official, I have the responsibility to make decisions like this every day, every couple of days, where someone may have built something without permit. And I weigh out these situations, look at the details.
Right.
Does it appear that it was a homeowner who did not understand that they needed a permit?
Right.
Then I consider taking this into consideration.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, and the Code Steering Committee discussed this pretty extensively, and you'll see in the languages that we've added the words "up to." So it allows the code official some discretion to determine whether, hey, was this really a violation that should have been known, or was this just they didn't know they needed a permit as a homeowner would, or something like that. So it allows Mike some flexibility.
Yeah.
Or is this a contractor that did this last week or last month, last year? Then this gives us a little bit more of a deterrent to stop doing that.
Right.
So. Okay. Moving on to if you go to page 11, this just basically some language that clarifies for commercial sites that all stairs would be subject to code to the standards, because we believe that's it's a public safety issue. So not just because it's in the means of egress, but it is a part of the site and the public is using it. So just clarifying some language there. On page 12.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can we, real quick, there's something added in here about agricultural buildings?
Yeah, if I could just mention
Yes,
first,
of course.
you'll see some red notations in there that are just editorial. The agricultural section specifically is just relocated from another section in the code. So that's not new language. It's just been relocated in the proper section that it would align with.
Yeah, so I was going to kind of ask on that note, though, specifically what that says, that it's an agricultural building is a place that should not be used by the public. How does that affect somebody who has like rentals for weddings or events or something of that nature? Because as a farmer, I might have hay in my barn in June, but then in July rent it out for a wedding. But that obviously that brings the public in. So how does that?
That would be considered a commercial establishment at that point. Would have to go through the site plan process and then the building permit process.
Because the function is no longer primarily agricultural.
Correct. Correct. Now, if they're having the wedding for their daughter or something like that, then obviously that would not apply. It's a family event.
All right. Gotcha. Thank you very much.
So, moving on to, I believe, page 22, this clarifies the requirements of driveway aprons, adds it to the code versus the current policy. This was actually a section that got deleted last adoption by accident. We're not sure how it was deleted, but it had previously always been in the code. It's just a guarantee fund for driveway entrances if the driveway entrance is not installed at the time of use and occupancy certificate. So that's just to clear up some stuff there. If you're moving on to page 23, it clarifies the requirements for footings for accessory buildings and adds it to the code versus our current policy. We do currently have policies for smaller detached structures that under certain square footage that we would require less depth depending on how they're constructing the footings. This has been a policy for several years. We just finally got it into the code. It gives a little bit less restrictions on detached buildings. Page 24, we've had some issues with discharge from roof drainage onto other people's properties causing nuisances or onto the road. This just gives some additional information on or requirements on that discharge. Page 30, this requires identification of the sprinkler disconnect to ensure disconnect is not inadvertently switched off position. Also, this section here requires a separate branch circuit for both septic pump and alarm. This will ensure that if the pump loses power, the alarm will sound. Currently, there really is nothing in there that would require this.
Yeah, and that was something that the electrical, came up as part of the code steering committee. The electrical contractor who's a member of that board brought this to our attention. He had concerns that if somebody lost power to that pump and the alarm didn't sound because it's on the same circuit, that obviously, people would have issue with that.
Would be a bad thing.
So on page 40, provides the authority of the building official to require testing of existing gas systems when the building official has reason to believe that the system is not safe. For instance, if our inspection staff goes there to inspect a new tank and they see some issues that may be of concern, this would give us the ability to have them get a contractor to inspect those devices or lines to avoid any catastrophe. So this wouldn't be something that we would do all the time. It's just if the inspection staff sees an issue they think could be a problem, it gives us the ability to get somebody to check it out. Okay, so on page 41, 42, towards the end, this adds the requirements for swimming pools to follow the International Swimming Pool Code as adopted by state, including one modification to require that all pools be protected with a barrier or a fence.
Can somebody just relate to me why we've adopted international swimming pool standards? I'm just kind of curious. Like
that is the state has moved that way.
Well, right, but I mean,
required that. We used to have our own guidelines for pools that that was our code, Carroll County swim pool guidelines. The state really is requiring that all jurisdictions adopt this swimming pool code. I'm not sure when it will go into official date, but
the international codes is a body itself that operates throughout the country, throughout the world. They write the codes. There's a public hearing process similar to this, where people can come and bring code proposals forth to them. We are voting members at Carroll County. We have 12 voting members, so we when that process is going through, we actually can review the codes, put our votes in just like any other governmental member as a jurisdiction across the country, to solidify what's being presented.
So, but we don't know specifically why they figured, you know, the international standards were better standards than the ones that we currently had. Like, what was it that prompted them to say?
If you go
this
back to
is-
page 2, the majority of the codes that we are adopting are international standards. They are all part of the international ICC, International Code Council. But previously, the swimming pool was not part of these adopted building construction standards by the COMAR. They've decided to go with that this time.
Gotcha.
It was just available before, but it wasn't adopted as part of the Maryland Building Performance Standards.
Gotcha. I was just kind of curious because, I mean, there's a lot of really good technical stuff in here, and then all of a sudden it's like swimming pools. So
Yeah, and there was a section in the international, I believe it was residential code regarding swimming pools. They just basically carved it out of that centralized code and made a standalone code called swimming pools, specifically to deal with those.
Well, thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
And if anybody has any other questions,
Yeah, please.
What's the difference between a code official and a building official?
It's one and the same.
It's the same thing.
Yes, essentially,
So it's
yeah.
just a wording change. 'Cause
Yes,
it's
yeah.
throughout the changes.
Yes.
it's been switched back and forth a couple times in code, and I don't know why.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Just want to make sure.
Any other questions amongst us? There's nobody in the audience here. Chris, is there anyone on the line regarding this?
No, sir.
Okay, what I need is a motion to close and to bring the public hearing to a close and keep the record open for a period of 10 days.
Motion to close the public hearing and leave the record open for 10 calendar days.
Second.
I have a motion second. Any discussion? Seeing here none, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank you,
much.
gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Okay. Going from codes to the Northeast Maryland Waste Disposal Authority. Contract renewal. Gentlemen.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Morning.
The Office of Procurement, in cooperation with the Bureau of Solid Waste, requests your approval to renew the yearly contract with Northeast Maryland Waste Disposal Authority in the amount of $180,966.26. The Northeast Maryland Waste Disposal Authority is an agency that provides waste management contract and project management, planning, and financial services, among other benefits, for its member jurisdiction. And one thing that I forgot to put on there was that budget did approve this.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Morning.
We're here today, as was noted, with our annual request to renew Carroll County's membership in the Northeast Maryland Waste Disposal Authority. As was stated, the request is for $180,966.26. That's about a 3.95% increase over our fiscal '23 membership fee. The Northeast Maryland Waste Disposal Authority was formed in 1980 as an independent state agency for the purpose of assisting member jurisdictions with solid waste and recycling related matters. Carroll's been a member since the 1990s. The authority is governed by a board of directors that is comprised of a representative from each of the 8 jurisdictions who are members, plus one from MES. I represent Carroll County on that board, and I appreciate the support in doing that. Through Carroll's membership, we maintain, or the authority maintains and manages agreements for the county that include our master plan project, both the waste and recycling transfer agreements, electronics recycling, tire recycling, household hazardous waste, and a plethora of other very good things that they do for the county. They also have 12 engineering firms on call that we can tap, which we discussed here a few weeks ago, anytime we need them. One thing I do want to call out of note is that through that membership, when we did rebid our waste and recycling contracts 3-4 years ago now, the county saved, by going in with other member jurisdictions on that procurement, we saved in excess of $300,000 a year on the recycling contract versus going at it alone. We also saved over $200,000 a year on going the waste contract versus going at it alone. So just those 2 contracts alone, about 2.5 times our membership fee. So that's been a very good, successful, valuable membership for the county. And we greatly appreciate the board's prior and hopefully ongoing assistance and support, and can answer any other questions you have.
No, that's great, and you're I would expect comfortable with the word plethora and would be
Yes.
able to define it if ever asked.
Many,
correct? Okay.
Motion to renew the contract for the Northeast Maryland Waste Disposal Authority in the amount of $180,966.26.
Second.
Motion got a second. Any discussion? Seeing here none, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Let's talk about the Solid Waste Enterprise Fund CIP transfer.
Okay, and I'm looking for the,
A lot of waste this morning, but it feels productive.
see
A lot of
where-
what?
A lot of waste, but it feels
where- I
productive.
don't- Yeah, I need, I'm used to a smaller. Go
We're
ahead.
talking about the landfill cell
Oh,
3
it's hidden down there.
rain
Okay, I'm
flap
sorry. I see it up
installation.
top.
It's up top too, but that's the easy stuff.
Okay. Again, thank you very much for having us this morning. This is I don't know if Ashley was going to be here this morning, but maybe not.
You got 10.
Oh, I'm sorry, Ted, thank you, didn't see you there.
Sorry, I can go get Ashley if you're
No, that's, we have support, that's the important part.
You really may want Ashley.
All of a sudden, you just feel like you're second fiddle. Oh, we have support.
maybe third.
It's a wasted effort.
No pun intended.
It's
correct?
getting punny in here this
Or
morning.
pun intended. Wasted effort. Okay, design permitting and installation of the next rain flap diversion berm at the Northern Landfill. Cell 3 was approved during the fiscal 22 CIP process. The total approved budget for that project was $212,400. The design and quality assurance phase was awarded to Martin & Martin, Inc. at $36,492. Installation was awarded to DSM Properties at a contract cost of $159,908. The construction commenced February 6th of '23, concluded with the old rain flap removal in May of 2023, and final MDE approval was received Friday, June 2nd, and waste placement began on Monday, June 5th of 2023. During the project, a significantly greater quantity of protective cover stone, and I'll explain what's on the pictures here in a moment, adjacent to the old rain flap were found to be heavily contaminated with silt. That unfortunately does not go or does not match with the specifications for the stone that we're supposed to have in place. Additionally, there was some damage found to the Cell 3 primary liner. That's the liner that keeps all the landfill leachate from getting to the groundwater. The net and fabric that's associated with it, that needed to be repaired as well. Due to these circumstances, additional material and labor costs were incurred both by DSM and also by Martin & Martin. But at the end of the day, it requires a budget transfer of $32,476.49 to cover the costs. And if I can go to the slides briefly, and please feel free to interrupt along the way if you have any questions. What you see in the slides is essentially to the left is the slope of the first half of Cell 3 at Northern Landfill. What we do is the whole cell's about 17 acres. We cut it up, so we're only filling in certain areas at a time. That helps reduce the amount of water that's generated as leachate, keeps our costs down, makes Ted happy. The stone itself that you see in the right-hand side of the slide, it's protective cover stone. It's about an AASHTO 57 aggregate size for those who get geeked out on that. Its purpose is to help the rainwater flow, and then under the landfill help the leachate flow. Just like stone in a French drain, perhaps around your house, around a basement, that's its purpose. It's to convey water away. If that stone gets choked up with soil, the water doesn't flow anymore and backs up. But instead of your basement getting wet, the leachate can back up out of the landfill in a really bad case. So going in, we knew that there was going to be some extra work that needed to be done. We had a contingency in the project, and you can see some of the results of, again, this was right when the project was going to start and when the RFP was put together. So we estimated about 670, 680 tons of stone needed to come out. Once we got into the project, we found that there were the level of sediment, the amount of soil that had washed off from the other slopes on Cell 3 into this stone was significantly more than we had estimated, even with the contingency added in. The spec requires the stone to be pretty much as clean as the stone you see to the left in each picture, nice clean gray. This amount of soil was observed by our inspector, was observed by us, our inspector and also the MDE's inspector. And basically, we were told it has to be removed, and rightfully so. Removal of all that material encompassed about 257 additional tons of aggregate. And the labor that went into that project was for removal of the contaminated stone and replacement of the new stone. So unfortunately, with all the curves that Mother Nature threw us over the heavy rains in 2017-18 that we had, this was our unfortunate result that we had to deal with. While the contractor was on site, we gave them to go ahead to get the work done, rather than tell them to demobilize off-site at a cost, remobilize later at an additional cost, possibly project delays. We believed it was in the best interest while they were there to get the material in, get the project done, especially the liner repairs, because they could have even further impacts. So the pictures here on this slider is the work after it's finished. As you can see, it's all nice and clean stone. That the former rain flap on the left picture, the former rain flap would go over that small stone berm you see. And then on June 5th, we commenced disposal in the cell. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell. This ties into the next presentation as well, which is the change order for the work. Have any questions?
Okay.
Sometimes there's a question about why are we doing the budget transfer before you're approving the expenditure. And while it seems awkward, you have to have the money in place to be able to say, go ahead and do it.
So first step is to transfer the money, second step is to execute. So is there a motion to transfer the money?
Motion to approve transfer of $32,476.49 from Bark Hill Landfill Remediation 6537 to Northern Landfill Rain Flap Installation 6542.
Second.
Got a motion, got a second for transfer. Any discussion? Seeing here none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, now let's spend some money that we just transferred.
Basically the same discussion with that work, DSM Properties, with the additional protective cover aggregate, 251.75 tons, labor to remove the old aggregate and replace it with the new, and the liner repairs, which was done by a subcontractor of DSM. Required change orders $44,856.40.
Okay.
Motion to approve a change order to is that PO or P0? PO 047375-000 for DSM Properties LLC in the amount of $44,856.40.
Second.
Okay, I got a motion, I got a second. Any discussion on this? Seeing here none, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you very much.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Good job, gentlemen.
If I may take 1 minute, I'm sorry to go out of school here a little bit.
45 seconds. No, go ahead.
That's okay. Last week at the landfill, Wednesday evening, we had an incident after hours that required response by local fire, EMS,
Right.
fire, thank God not EMS, and local employees or county employees. I want to just publicly thank Reese Fire Hall, their staff, all the county employees who showed up. It wasn't really much of a big deal, but it was a big deal because it could have gotten a whole lot worse. We had a small fire in the trash that was placed, and they were able to contain it, control it, put it out, and no damage occurred to the liner or any other features at the landfill. But it also goes to show that we believe that it started from lithium batteries. And if you all have seen videos of lithium batteries on YouTube, if not, I strongly recommend you checking them out. They're pretty wild. It's the things that we throw out every day. Not everything is innocuous. There are some things that can cause a lot of damage, and that was just an example of one that could have, that fortunately didn't. But thank you to everybody who responded.
No, really appreciate that also public safety message as well, and
Yes.
for keeping us up to date. And I know our administrator also let us know step by step what was happening. So thank
good.
you. Good shout out to Reese and also to the community.
Because of something like that, are there any restrictions on batteries? Not that people, I'm sure you never see pay cans or any of the other stuff that's
Well, of course
restricted,
not.
but is there any restriction on batteries?
At this moment, other than lead acid, there really aren't any. They'll be coming.
Yes.
We do the best that we can in educating the public. We can also, only inspect to a point, though, when the waste is coming in. You can hide. That could have started, and again, the smoldering area might not have been any bigger than these two tables put together, but that could have started from a watch battery that got broken open. And it's pretty amazing what a small amount of material, what damage it can do. It's very difficult to find those. So, yes, the public information, the outreach is really the best way to get through.
Great. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, let's talk about fiscal year 24 town-county agreements for Hampstead and Mount Airy.
Well, hello again, Ted.
Mr. Zaleski.
A couple weeks ago, I came in with 6 of the 8 agreements. These are the last 2, Hampstead and Mount Airy.
Okay. Are there any questions on these actions? Okay, in that case, what I need is a motion to approve.
Maybe somebody from one of those districts?
Mox next.
Nope. All right. Motion to approve the FY24 town-county agreements with the towns of Hampstead and Mount Airy.
Second.
Okay, I got a motion and a second from the 2 that don't belong in these districts. No, I'm kidding. Yeah. Okay. Any discussion on this? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ted.
We count on you guys to take care of us.
Exactly. Okay. What I need now is for us to look at the closed minutes for July 27th, dealing with land acquisition. Okay, upon review, is there a motion?
Motion to approve closed meeting minutes.
Second.
I got a motion, I got a second to approve the closed minutes from July 27th for land acquisition. Any discussion? Seen here none, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you so much. Chris, do we have anybody on the phone?
No one on the phone right now.
Okay. Is there anything for open admin at this time? No? Okay. Come on up, Ms. Wanda. Let's go through our agendas for next week and the following. Monday, August 7th, we have nothing scheduled.
But that is the night Hampstead Carnival starts.
That is the night of Hampstead Carnival. And reminder that, once again, Mount Airy Carnival is happening right now. So these are the last 2, right?
That's right.
Hampstead's last.
It is, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, okay, on Tuesday morning, August 8th at 9 a.m., we will have the ribbon cutting for Charles Carroll Community Center. And then at 7 p.m., there's a Ag Center board meeting, which I'll be attending. I believe the ribbon cutting, are we all attending that?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. The Wednesday, August 9th, is the Farm Museum Board meeting. Commissioner Vigliotti will be attending.
I got to double check that. I think it's been moved to the 16th, I think. I'll double check that.
Okay.
But I'm happy to attend the Board of Ed meeting that night, so I can jump in this month for that.
And Commissioner Vigliotti will be participating in the Board of Ed board meeting at 5 p.m. On Thursday, August 10th, let's see. Okay, we will have a request for public hearing on a proposed new ordinance of public safety nuisance calls. Mr. Burke and the sheriff will be walking us through that. We'll get an update on the...
Tim.
Mr. Burke? Yeah.
Oh, I thought you said the sheriff. Sorry.
Well, it has the sheriff and Tim Burke. So I'm not sure if the sheriff will be in attendance or not, but... and then an update on the state's attorney office building. The sheriff's attending that? That doesn't make sense.
No, that's
Okay, yes, if we can correct these, that'd be a little bit helpful. but we will be led through that by Mr. Boki, our DPW. We'll then have a request to approve purchase of uniforms for the Department of Fire EMS for fiscal year '24. Chief Robinson will walk us through that. Approve to purchase a used bucket truck, and DPW will walk us through that. Approves to purchase a 325G compact track loader. Okay. Another purchase of a XL 4100V 6x4 hydraulic excavator. I am hoping that somebody's listening and we get to see pictures of all these things so we know what we're buying. Brightly Software, a renewal for Brightly Software Asset Essentials for IT, and then a a contract renewal for support and maintenance of computer aided dispatch, or in other words, CAD. Very important system. And then we'll have a briefing and discussion on the actuary study for public safety pension plan. We have nothing scheduled on the Friday 11th or 12th, and Commissioner Vigliotti has the podcast that week. Nothing scheduled on the 14th. On the Tuesday, August 15th, we have Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. Commissioner Gordon will be participating in that, and then the Veterans Advisory meeting is scheduled at 2 p.m., where Commissioner Gordon and Kyler will be participating. On Wednesday evening, Emergency Services Advisory Council meeting. Commissioner Garin will be.
So
Is that actually going to happen?
I won't. I'm not certain if it's going to happen or not, but I don't think I'll be able to be there because I plan on being at the Mako.
Okay.
Okay, so, and we'll see if it is happening or not. Now, yeah, and I appreciate you bringing that up because Mako starts really on Wednesday, the 16th, not on Thursday, and it goes through Saturday, but there'll be decisions on who's attending and who's staying, and participating. But that is and I appreciate that reminder about Mako that week.
Yeah. Go ahead, Kenny. Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was just say I'm not going to be attending Mako, but I will be filling in for Commissioner Kyler on Wednesday for the college board.
Carroll Community College Board of Trustees.
Okay. And Mako, like as shared, goes through Saturday, whether we're all in attendance all the way through Saturday, that's, going to be dependent. And then Commissioner Kyler has the podcast. Any additional comments? Wow. Seeing, hearing none. Opportunity to close before 10:30 a.m. We can sit here and wait until that is over. I don't think so. I need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
I got a motion and a second to adjourn prior to 10:30 a.m. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.